Hi, my name is Ashton Ellis, and I'm one of the co-authors of the book Refounding America, a field manual for patriot activists. And today I want to talk about 6 rules written by David Horowitz, a former Marxist who's now one of the leaders in the patriot activist movement. The 6 rules are designed to counter the 13 rules for radicals propagated by Saul Alinsky, the godfather of progressive tactics, most notably as a leader for Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. So David's 6 rules not only have the virtue of being a lot shorter, but we think a lot better. The first is, politics is a war conducted by other means. Progressives conduct their political campaigns as a form of warfare. Put a certain way, they play tackle football, while conservatives and classical liberals usually play touch football. In political warfare, you do not want to fight just to prevail in an argument, but to destroy the enemy's fighting position. Winning, as understood by the audience, the most important people in any debate, does not depend on scoring logical points, but on making emotional points in sound bites. Watching the national TV political shows, you know that you really only get 30 seconds, if that, to make your case. Any longer, and you lose. You have to get the first punch in. You have to paint your progressive enemy as a narcissistic, power-mad, mean-spirited government control freak, a corrupt Marxist elitist in the pockets of ruthless billionaires like George Soros, whose policies are keeping minority people poor and dependent and slaves to their government masters. If you don't attack first, and make those kinds of strong, fact-based statements, your opponent's going to call you a borderline racist, controlled by religious, Bible-thumping zealots. In other words, he'll do the same to you, using just as hot and just as many trigger words. Get it? He who throws the first punch almost always wins. And every one of these statements describing the progressive Marxists are true. You're telling the truth. Your enemy isn't. The second rule is politics is a war of position. In any war, there are only 2 sides. Don't ever forget that. You're either a friend or an enemy. Your job is to describe yourself as the friend of as large a constituency as possible, while painting your opponent as the enemy of that constituency. You're for motherhood. Your enemy isn't. You're for God. Your enemy hates him. You're for personal privacy. Your enemy wants a national ID card, mandatory DNA databases. You're for personal charity and generous giving by every individual. Your enemy is in favor of government force and taking away people's wealth to squander it on programs that don't work and in fact have never worked. And always, you are for the cause of the underdog. The progressive enemy is for the elite. In military battles, choosing the right terrain is important. Most of the most famous ones, it's been the deciding factor. So select the one that stacks the battle in your favor. Remember when President Obama argued for his big government healthcare bill on the White House lawn? He was surrounded by doctors in white coats. Why? Well, those weren't their own jackets. They didn't come prepared to look like they just walked out of the operating room. A White House staffer handed them over and said, "Put these on," just before the TV cameras started rolling. Why? Well, because the White House knows the power of images are much more important than the power of any words President Obama might have said. Seeing a bunch of good doctors dressed up in white seemed to kind of evoke the same type of idea of the cowboy wearing a white hat. He was on the side of the right. His critics were in the wrong. Rule number 3. In political war, the aggressor usually wins. Never wait for the other side to attack first. It's called a prevent defense in sports. In life, it means you lose. You often only get one chance, and since war is a position-based strategy, being aggressive is advantageous. Images stick in the minds of the viewers, just like those white doctor coats. When you strike first, you are the one that gets to set the agenda. It's called framing. Make sure that when you start your conversation with somebody, or a debate, or a dinner time chat, you lay out very quickly and very clearly where you stand on something. Have a strong opinion. Back it up with facts. You've now made the frame that someone else has to dispute. You're on offense, they're on defense, and all because you struck first. The 4th rule is power is defined by fear and hope. Fear and hope are like the flip sides of a political coin. If you provide people with hope, they'll be your friend. Remember, hope and change was the progressive slogan in 2008. Few listeners who swooned to these words understood they really meant loss of freedom and serfdom for themselves, and power to the elitists soon to be in power. Never inspire fear. You'll make enemies. It's easy for a patriot to show hope. Thank God. Show them that your war really is the way of hope, for a better future and a return to the Constitution and its founding principles, for limited government, effective politicians, and people that, hopefully, would choose to be statesmen. Since you know your progressive enemy is going to try to paint you as a bigoted and intolerant person, focus your opening position on being inclusive and fair-minded. Openly say you're willing to talk to anybody who supports sustainable government programs, who supports a level of taxation that helps the government to work, but also retains the incentive for people to be entrepreneurs. Focus on words like generosity, love, sustainability. We're all in this together, long term. You can show that your progressive opponent is full of fear and distrust for the individual just by talking about the policies he supports. He really wants to control and regulate every aspect of everyone else's life. How much water their toilet can hold, what kind of light bulbs they can use, and so on. And of course, what kind of doctor you can have and how much medicine you can expect to get. A progressive thinks people are too stupid to take care of themselves. That's why they need him. That's why they need a board of bureaucrats in some faraway capital to help them run their lives more efficiently. It should be easy to paint progressives as the out-of-touch people they are. They're really for a minority of elite people who run everyone else. You're for everyone else. Number 5, the weapons of politics are symbols evoking fear and hope. So the next time you go to a rally or plan an event, make sure that every t-shirt, bumper sticker, sign, or any other thing that you use to communicate with people evokes one of these two ideas. Either fear of what will happen if people don't act, or hope if they do. Because conservatives and a lot of times even libertarians come across as, well, pretty negative people. They scold, they scowl, they sound sanctimonious. The media calls them the party of no. Well, it's no, but it's for a reason. So be sure when you get accused of being part of the party of no, or only not wanting to do things, that you talk about an idea called an opportunity cost. It's whenever the government acts, that means someone else, like an entrepreneur or a charitable organization, is limited in what they can do to act. You want to take those limitations off. You want individuals to be able to do as much good as they possibly can. Emphasize the stories that don't get told when government goes wrong, when government fails. That way you can quickly turn fear into hope and win the hearts and minds of a heck of a lot more people than a progressive who wants to control them. The 6th and final rule is that victory lies in the side of the people. You've probably picked up by now that there are millions of folks across this great country who support the Tea Party movement, 9/12 groups, and what Terry and I call the Refounding America movement. It's the people that show up for demonstrations, take time off work and away from their families to make sure that politicians in Washington and state capitals know that they're upset. But it's also the millions more who agree with them in their workplace, in their neighborhood, and in their churches. It's the folks who feel like they don't have the time, but will definitely support those folks whenever it comes time for voting for a candidate. So each of these principles has a bottom line. First, you got to define yourself in ways that the average person can immediately understand. You must make them your campaign cause. You're fighting for everyone else out there who's unemployed or underemployed, people who want to work but can't, people who want to start a business but can't get credit, people who want to make more of their lives and help other people. That's who you're fighting for. And you're fighting against the government programs, the policies, the unions, everyone aligned against them for the betterment of themselves, or rather, their own enrichment. You're fighting for the underdog, the everyday American that makes this country great. Don't forget that. And don't forget to visit RefoundingAmericaBook.com. Thanks.